Yes. Excuse me. yes. The CastWorthy podcast. And we are back at you. It is Sunday,
November 21st.
November 21st. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on Twitter, joined by EJ, the sophisticated one. And we have the VP, who now thinks he's a celebrity because he got about 60,000 retweets on a tweet this week. Nigga don't want to do no research. He don't want to pod no more. He want us to pay him. What's up, man? What's going on? What y'all up to?
What's good, man?
What's the copage? How you guys coping with this post white supremacist decision that was made?
I mean, it's another day in America, man.
Right.
Like, it was you talking about the wire and pre-production. It's like Omar said, it's like wondering if the sun gonna come up. I ain't about to wild out over
it.
Yeah.
Before we get serious, I was looking on this flyer I saw in this community group I'm in, and it said, these ads of naughty service people are coming up again. So I clicked, and it says holiday sale. Book a dream made between November 20th to December 20th, 2021. Repeat clients will receive 15% off any service fee over 200 plus. New clients will receive 10% off any service fee over $200. Tips and extras not included. What do you think the extras are, guys?
Well, clearly it's like to clean the ceiling fan because that's never included, right?
I don't know. I don't have a ceiling fan.
What else would it be?
I mean, shit, I would assume it's like, hey, we can come over and clean, or we can come over and clean, in a certain dress.
I'm curious. I'm curious. Wonder how this works.
You gotta be careful though, because that's not nice. That's not nice. I've said, all right. So it's been said that that if you don't use foul language in the first 7 minutes, you do better with the algorithm. So we got about 4 minutes left. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to hold it in because I got stuff to say. So what's going on, man? You guys got plans for this week? Vari, I know you're gonna be here local, right? You got family coming up or what?
No, I'm gonna be here local with the folks who live here in Orlando. But nothing special, man. Just the regular stuff.
Okay.
Meet up, get some food, play some cards, talk some trash.
Oh, nigga shit.
No, there go the algorithm. I'm done.
Oh,
you did it. God damn it.
All right, next time.
Man. I haven't really done Thanksgiving. Even when I was married, I didn't enjoy Thanksgiving. I didn't enjoy it. The last, ever since I didn't go to Bridgeport for Thanksgiving, I have never enjoyed Thanksgiving. Like those are my best memories. Coming up there, watching my mom, your dad, your mom talk shit, smoke cigarettes when they were still smoking, drink their liquor, watching the Lions and the Cowboys. That your father was the first guy I think to turn me on to football, and ever since then I was like, I gotta play, and then getting older, doing the same thing, maybe minus the cigarettes. I think your mom might have still been smoking, and then us going out, getting high, allegedly, and going to watch a movie and driving around for no reason. And those were the days, man. Like raiding the fridge like 2, 3 in the morning. I still to this day don't never understood how you can get so high and never was hungry. I don't get it. Like nigga, I was starving.
I don't know how someone can do that either.
I mean, this is what almost 20 years ago or something.
Yeah, those were the good days, man. I definitely I miss, just like from when we were young. The day before, your mom and my mom would be there busting up the stuffing bread. You know what I mean? Breaking bread, literally. Um, and nowadays it's not like that, man. And I feel bad for people because tradition it's so limited now. And the other piece to it is social media has made it so weird, like not weird, but like if you remember, you see somebody after a while back in the day, you'd be like, oh my God, you've grown. You know what I mean? I remember when you were XYZ this small, right? But now you take the element of surprise out of it because you have social media pictures of everyone everywhere, right? Nobody just pops up at your door and rings your doorbell and you'd be like, oh shit, I didn't even know you were coming, right? Now you get the text or the call or, which, we appreciate. We've kind of grown in society for it to be that way, but it's still just it was it was different times back then, man. So, but yeah, the cards, the drinking, and then as we got older, going out and just doing weird stuff and being out all night before, grubbing out, and then
Popping
the
up at
next
your
days.
people's houses, and
Yeah, man.
that was dope
Yeah.
too. Riding around the city and popping up at your people's houses, getting plates, turning down plates, and that shit, man. That was a special time. That was a special time. I really missed that. But ever since then, man, even when I was married, I hated Thanksgiving because we didn't do anything on my side of the family, and we always went to her side, which wasn't no drinking, wasn't no card playing.
Ooh.
Had to drive, like, even though the drive wasn't that bad, it just wasn't. I didn't feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You don't. I mean, Varg, neither one of y'all probably can relate because y'all been with y'all spouses so long. Their family really probably not. It's not going to be that uncomfortable for you. Like for me, I wasn't with her that long, and it was just like even after some years, it just didn't feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So you hate to be uncomfortable on the holidays. So, but now with the girl's schedule, even through the holidays, we maintain the schedule for the most part, right? So typically every Thanksgiving, they're with their mom, like by the end of the day, like by Thursday night, they're with their mom. Like during the morning, they'll be with me, but by Thursday night, they'll be with their mom. So you know what that means for me.
You gotta cook.
Oh, I know what that means.
I'm getting drunk.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to, even when I was managing the bar, like in 2013, we did Thanksgiving dinner here, and then I'd hit the bar, and it's just nuts, man. Like even last year, how the bar community just after a certain time during the day comes out in full force. You got people that either don't have no family, they want to get away from their family. It just turns into like one big happy ass family at the bar. It's crazy.
It's
So
just a bunch of drunk motherfuckers being belligerent and
yep.
acting foolish.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So I'm planning to do that this year. It's just a matter of finding out where.
That doesn't sound fun to me. It sounds like you need to get on a train south, uh, and and come bail me out of family time.
Nope,
Shit.
no can do.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Some stuffing, and it's mac and cheese, and this is the best time of the year with that stuff. And then I guess like Thanksgiving, when I think about our Thanksgiving back then, EJ, and and like the movie Thanksgivings and shit like that, like I miss it. And I guess this is probably gonna sound weird because you just said that yours didn't go this way, but like my Thanksgiving will probably be a little more like that now, I don't fuck with black girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
What?
you know, I'm, you know, married to a Hispanic person, and you know they don't really play spades. You know they don't, and it's not, you know what I mean. Like the culture is different around Thanksgiving and holidays and stuff like that, and parties and getting together and shit like that. They, you know, they get together and dance, and we get together and we just bullshit. You know, play cards and drink and shit like that. So that's what I'm getting at. Is just it's a little different, just a little different culture.
But Christmas is lit though. Coquito for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
What about the week, man? So I did see, right, that there was some looting going on in some places like Chicago. Some people started looting, some people in California and so on. And I wonder if these are just people that just were looking for a reason to steal. You know what I mean? Versus people that were truly outraged and shit. But you know, let's get right into it, man. So it was found, as we expected, as the world expected, that Kyle Rittenhouse, the white supremacist that was driven by his mom at 17 across state lines into Kenosha, Wisconsin, was found not guilty and acquitted on all charges, even though he killed 3 people.
Killed 2 people, injured a third.
I'm sorry, killed 2 people, injured a third. And so everyone expected it. You know, maybe some people like myself, I kind of was holding on like that loose tooth that maybe there was a shot in the dark that somebody, you know, might try to turn this thing around and see some reality as to what took place. But you know, of course not. So what do you guys think, man?
Pretty Barry being I've been talking all day.
I mean, going into it, you know, like any person that has watched any you know, white person go on trial for, you know, killing somebody in America, I went into this thing thinking that, you know, he wasn't going to be found guilty. The only thing that I kind of was hanging my hat on was the gun charge, which ultimately got dismissed. But I thought, okay, he would at least, he's going to get off on the murders and the attempted murder, but he'll eat the gun charge because it's basically, you know, the charge was something along the lines of, you know, him being a minor and carrying, he was old enough to carry the gun. And so that's just kind of like a fact thing. Like, was he a minor? He was 17. Did he have the gun? Yes. Okay. You know, that's open and shut, but they dismissed that. So, you know, that was gone. As far as the shootings themselves, I thought it was possible that he could eat the charge for the first guy he killed, Rosenbaum. And the other 2, I thought that he probably had a pretty good self-defense claim just because the one guy had a gun and the other guy was like getting ready to hit him with a skateboard or some shit like that. So I thought he had a chance on those from the beginning. But overall, you know, I wasn't surprised by the verdict at all. It was just, you know, another day in America.
I'm curious to. I should have did the research pre-production. I planned to, but I wound up having to do house stuff, and then somebody's dog was loose around my yard. Somebody's poodle, and I to this day I still don't understand, but whatever.
Poodle in Baltimore.
It's a few around my neighborhood, and they just, I don't know why it's cute for them to just let them roam off a leash when I have a pit bull, my neighbor has a shepherd. There's 2 pit bulls down the street. I don't know, but anyway, I started to do the research and then I got sidetracked. I wonder how many black males in this country receive felony gun charges off of their first offense, whether they're nonviolent offenses and just simply possession. Because I know in DC
without discharging it.
I know in DC from my firsthand experience, majority of the people that I see or interact with or talk to have felony first-time gun charges. As VP pointed out, this young man possessed not only a gun, not only a firearm, he possessed automatic weapon, right? Semi-automatic weapon.
It was
semi-automatic, yeah.
Semi-automatic weapon that carried probably over 15 rounds at the least, maybe
30.
Yeah, probably 30 rounds easily.
Yeah, I'm just
no. It had 30 rounds in it. They said it at the trial.
I'm just throwing it out, and I know you guys got my back here. That was illegal for him to carry that weapon because he was underage, but it also was not in his home state. He traveled across state lines, which is in any other instance, whether you take contraband, you take illegal drugs, you take illegal weapons, you take anything across state lines. Hell, you can't even bet across state lines in certain instances, and it's a felony charge. I have a hard time understanding how anyone can rationally and logically argue that this kid should have walked free. And I look at different groups I'm in, whether it's a Jets group, whether it's a Bourbon group, and there are countless people cheering and happy that this kid got off free with nothing. And at this point, as VP always says about the police system, it's not just the police system. It may be the entire justice system. It may be the entire political system. I'm convinced none of this shit works. Throw it all away.
And that kind of goes to what I say to you in the chat when I say, like, this shit can't be reformed. It needs to be like dug up root and stem and reimagined, like from the jump. But will that happen in this country? Probably not.
Yeah, and when you talk about it, EJ, and you talk about, so there's two things that I saw this week that or two pieces of conversation that happened this week that I thought were important, right? And I was having a conversation with someone, and they were like, "Oh, well, it was self-defense and blah blah blah," and that's the argument everyone has had, right? The problem with America, and I think especially right now with this situation, is everyone looks at everything as politics. Everything is left versus right, right? Nobody is looking at right versus wrong. People are so afraid of being called leftists and so afraid to be in tune with the Democrats that they can't see that it's wrong that this kid traveled across state lines and shot 3 people, right? They can't see that they're so tied up in, the policies of the Republicans with, the guns, the ability to own guns, that they need to make sure that they feel like they're protecting their right to own guns by supporting this, right? They have to go against the Democrats because the Dems are going to take their guns, right? Even though we've heard this for God knows how long and not one gun been taken, right? And just for clarity, that little rusty ass 9mm that half of these motherfuckers got, that's not what they're worried about. Motherfuckers ain't worried about those. And then the second piece was just the message that it sends, right? It's not so much the right from wrong and so on, right? You take that away and you think of the message that was just sent to the world, right? And it doesn't have to be just supremacists. It could be any group specifically, right? But you can go and you can stir up some shit, and when somebody comes after you, you can shoot and kill them because you were fearing, right? And now, right, so we've seen this before. We saw this with Zimmerman and the Stand Your Ground, and that's kind of where we started to hear this. But now it seems like that is just that's the rule, right? That seems to be law everywhere now. If somebody's coming at you, you have the right to protect yourself, right? And I think that's where we are lost as a society, is everybody thinks it's protection, and it's not protecting yourself if you create the situation. And I think that's what was missed here.
And Steve, you basically set me right up for the point I was going to make. Anthony Huber's family, which was the second guy that Rittenhouse shot, they released a statement, and in their statement, they said exactly what you're saying, and I'll read it here. It says, quote, "Today's verdict means there's no accountability for the person who murdered our son. It sends the unacceptable message that armed civilians can show up in any town, incite violence, and then use the danger they have created to justify shooting people." And that's exactly where we are now. This verdict basically says, if some shit's going on that you don't agree with, you can show up armed. You can then stir shit up. And then when the people you're stirring shit up with reacts, you can kill them and say, I was scared.
If you're white.
Right. And you think about when he shot the first guy, right? Rosenbaum. And that's why I said that I thought that it was possible he could have gone down at least for the Rosenbaum murder versus the other two. Because with Rosenbaum, he was chasing him. That was it. No weapons.
Right.
Nothing. He didn't grab his gun. He was just chasing him. And you essentially said that it's not even that, you have to have a reasonable fear of death, right? Because most people would say, okay, well, the person had a knife, they had a gun, or they were on me, even though me and Steve have gone back and forth on the Trayvon situation, like an insane amount of times. But even in that situation, Zimmerman is saying Trayvon was on me, like punching me. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to kill me. In this situation, the guy is chasing him.
Well,
that's it.
Let's not even get to the bare facts of that. Of that part, the kid didn't live there.
Right.
He had to. Right. He had to be taken there 4 hours away in another state with an illegal gun. Let's just stop the conversation there. Right. You could talk about owning firearms. I'm all for it. But his gun was illegally in his possession. And he took it not only in his home state, he took it across state lines. So, state of Illinois, where he's from, I want to see you levy some charges.
Right. And you would think that would happen, but I think that they're not, because they're probably scared they're going to get accused of piling on. Because I'm thinking, like, in my mind, to EJ's point, where's the charge for this straw purchase for him and the person who bought that gun for him? They've admitted in court that this was a straw purchase, which is illegal, and you can get charged both federally and locally for doing that kind of thing. Where's the charge for the mom who drove her kid 4 hours away he was 17, he was a minor, drove him 4 hours away to a protest where shit was inflamed, anything could have popped off? Where's like the child endangerment charge or whatever, it would be called in those areas, the kid he was out past the curfew and on and on and on, So where's the stuff for the mom? But that stuff, it's not coming, man. It's not coming. But this shit, it just, a girl from my job texts me and she's like, this is a sad day, in America and that kind of thing. And like, she's like a pretty, liberal person and she means well, right? She's a white woman. And I was like, hey, you're talking to a guy who is from Florida. My people moved to Florida from Mississippi. You know what I mean? So this shit has long stopped being surprising to me and is more expected, And she was like, well, hopefully we can get justice in the Ammar Arbery case. And I said, I was like, I'm hoping for justice there. That case is a lot stronger, I think, based on what I've seen of it. The prosecutor in that case is stronger. The judge doesn't act like he's a defense attorney in that case. But at the same time, everything that we just said about this country's history and justice system, etc., tells me it's not going to happen.
And I mean, how strong was this Rittenhouse case?
The Rittenhouse case was strong, EJ.
No, I mean, no. I'm saying in the sense not of the murder charges. Listen, we could be on the fence in anything in that, right? But this kid walked away with nothing.
Right.
The felonies are right there.
Right.
There's nothing to be talked about. He had an illegal weapon purchased in Illinois or wherever, but he lived in the state of Illinois. So as a citizen of that state, you illegally possessed a firearm where hundreds of black men are arrested for the very same thing every day. Not only did you have it, you took it out of state 4 hours away and discharged it. There's nothing to talk about.
No,
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, like,
no.
And I think the state of Illinois literally has the obligation at this point to do something.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I guess what I'm saying is that the facts in the Arbery case to me are stronger than they are in the Rittenhouse case. I think Rittenhouse was guilty. The jury made the wrong decision here, in my opinion. But I'm saying that the underlying facts themselves in Ammar Arbery, I feel like those facts are a lot stronger in that case versus the Rittenhouse case. And then when you compare the two,
same thing.
Yeah, and when you compare the two prosecutors, I thought the prosecutor in Rittenhouse was weak. That prosecutor, the woman in Georgia, she seems to be very strong. She's very on the nose. She seems to be in command of the facts, and she knows where she's trying to go with her questioning and shit like that. And the judge also seems to be what a judge is supposed to be, which is a neutral arbiter.
Right.
And in the Rittenhouse case, that wasn't the case. This judge clearly had his thumb on the scale in favor of Rittenhouse, and that's part of the reason why, again, and I think the facts were in Rittenhouse were strong enough for conviction, but you got the judge who's out there who, if imagine you're a juror, right? You're in the box. You're supposed to come in neutral, and you don't know much about the case, which I don't know how you don't know nothing about this case, but let's assume you didn't, right? And you're being guided by the judge who's guiding you on the law and things like that. You see the judge going crazy on the prosecutor that's at the times that you're in the courtroom before they kick you out, right? And the judge is tossing the gun charge and always ruling against the prosecution whenever there's objections and that kind of thing like that. How could you as a juror not think, man, the judge can't stop the state from bringing charges, but maybe the judge is signaling to us that these charges are bullshit. You know what I mean? And I can't, you can't tell me that didn't play a factor. The behavior of the judge.
Let's not forget that while all that might be true, and these people might be easily influenced or swayed, he got to cherry pick these people, in some degree because of the pool that they were provided. And some of these people might just really agree with this kid because guess what? America's racist.
No, right. And you're absolutely right. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
And I think, excuse me, and I think if you take all of that out, right, it's a red state. It's a judge where maybe he wasn't for Rittenhouse, right? But he made it clear where he stood in this case, right? He made it clear when he threw out the gun charge. That's one thing. But when he said you can't call these people victims, right? Let's not call them victims. Let's not make the jury think predetermined that these people are victims before the outcome. Either way, that's insensitive right there. They're victims either way. They were shot. 2 of them died. They're victims, whether it means that they, the person was guilty, whatever. You're still a victim of violence, of some sort of violence, right? Their families
woke up. They woke up on August 25th of last year, or was it this year? I don't even remember. They woke up on August 25th, and they didn't die of natural causes. They're victims.
Right. So you take that into account, right? And then you take into account the fact that he threw out on that last day, he threw out the gun charge, right? At the very end, before they get into deliberation, he's like, well, you know what? We'll get rid of this one. And then he tells them, hey, there's 5 charges, but just start at the top, because if you say no to the top, you can forget the other 4. You don't even have to think about those. Right. You don't even have to have that conversation. And that's, again, to EJ's point, why there's no charges for anything else. There need to be other charges. Just because they found him, they found him innocent and they called it self-defense and he didn't murder someone, they're not calling it murder, right? That doesn't mean he wasn't guilty of other things, right? I mean, listen, if you're walking around in an area with a firearm, an assault rifle at that, you're guilty of something. Let it be. Now you add on, right? So that's one piece. Now you add on the fact that you're not in your home state, right? You add on that you're underage and you're not permitted to own that firearm. You add on the fact that you're in an area now where there was already a curfew, right? So throw all of that on top, right? Then you take the fact that the judge says, "Hey, the people that we heard from today, you know, the guy that got his arm shot, I forget his name,
Grosskreutz or something like that.
I want to go on record as saying that they are convicted felons, not saying that their testimony makes it, untruthful, but there could be some question to it because their previous, because of their previous, their history. So now you're basically telling the jury, hey, listen, believe these guys if you want, but me, I'm honorable. I am honorable. I'm known to be it. It's my title, and I'm telling you, hey, you believe what you want. And so yes, I think you got a good point, Vari.
And to your point that you just made there, Steve, and EJ probably can speak on this more clearly, given what he does for work. But you talked about how the judge told them, if you think self-defense, you don't got to consider anything else, right? And how he didn't let he allowed them to be called thugs and rioters and all that kind of stuff in the beginning. But another ruling that the judge made in the beginning that I thought damaged the prosecution's case severely was when he ruled that they couldn't bring up any of Rittenhouse's past
history.
History, right? And anybody who's watched any good legal show on TV, a good cop show, a legal movie, whatever, that's something they bring up is prior acts. You know what I mean? And here you have a guy who I think they said it was like a year ago or 2 years ago, he beat the shit out of some chick. The prosecution wants to bring that in to show this guy has a propensity towards violence. So last year he beat the shit out of a chick. This year he's killing people. Or when he was 5, he was burning ants with a magnifying glass, and then he started throwing kittens in boiling water when he was 12. Then he beat the shit out of this girl when he was 16, and now he's 17. He's killing people.
The only reason I say that I can see how it possibly could happen is because you have to take a hard look at Wisconsin's juvenile, how they rule on releasing juvenile records and stuff in this instance, because oftentimes juvenile records are sealed to where it's not going to be admissible for review or to be placed on trial in those instances. And I'm not as surprised as that. I'm not as surprised as in that part. And I get it.
And I that's something I don't know about. So I'm not thinking in that direction like you do because of the work that you do. But then the judge also ruled where there was like a video or something from like his social media where he saw somebody shoplifting and he said he wished he had his gun so he could kill him.
That should have definitely
and the judge said they couldn't bring that in because it would bias the jury against him. And it's like, this guy murdered 2 people and permanently disabled a third person. And here we see in his history that this dude is geared to violence. And now that frame of mind has ended in the ultimate
crime
destination where we're here now, where he's taken 2 people's lives and permanently disabled a third. And the judge said, no, you can't talk about that. The only thing that you can tell the jury is that his name is Kyle and that he's a wonderful person. And anything outside of that, I'm not going to allow it.
His social media definitely should have been his social media. That was definitely his social media. Definitely should have been on trial there, as social media, is fair game. Whether you have a private account or whatever it is, doesn't matter. As a minor, you're not protected. when you have a social media account, anything. So that should have been on there. His juvenile arrest records, they're typically sealed. You typically can maybe see that one exists, but you typically in most instances have to get, special approval to put that out there. Now, I would say, I don't know the case precedents, but I would say that this might be one of those times that somebody could argue to have him, placed as admissible evidence or admissible review. But yeah, I mean, Jesus, man.
Well, no, the prosecutor tried. The judge told him no, he's not allowing it. And I don't know if there's time. I don't know, like, if during the trial they could stop for the prosecutor to appeal.
What I'm saying is, I think that's something that I'm not sure 100%, but I believe that that's something that should not have been presented to that judge in this time, to where it was just like, we're in court now. I think that's something in the preliminary.
No, it was. This happened during pretrial, and the judge ruled against it.
Yeah, and I think they have the discretion to do that. And
yeah,
I'm all I'm saying, I'm not surprised. But at the end of the day, and I hate to go this way, but in all of this shit, right? Sleepy Joe. I get defending the union. I get defending the foundation of this nation. But it's clearly in this instance, I get what he's saying. You have to uphold the justice system. As a United States president, I expect you to say that we should want to uphold what we have in place, right? But clearly what went on here isn't what we're supposed to have in place. And that's the biggest problem I have with Joe Biden's rhetoric about this situation.
I want to transition to that. I definitely want to transition to that because I know Vari's going to have a lot to say on that. But before we get there, I just want to close the last piece on that I want to say is, I just hope, right? All I'm asking now is for consistency, and that's all we ask for as a people, Black people. We ask for consistency, right? If the shoe is on the other foot, a brown foot, and we're talking apples to apples, we just want the same treatment. We want to be able to say the state of Wisconsin versus Rittenhouse XYZ as our point of reference. Please let Deshaun out. You know what I mean? And somebody and people be like, oh, you know what? You got a point, right? Because it just hasn't been consistent, right? So people are like, oh, but it wasn't a Black person he killed this time. No, it wasn't. But that's not what we're talking about, right? We can't. It's not like we're only allowed to get enraged when it's a Black person, right? We're allowed to know right from wrong. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, it was a Black person, so we're mad. It's a white person, so we're okay with him getting off. Like, that's not how that works, right?
And Steve, before you transition us, I didn't add in the Ammar Arbery case, the thing that is also leading to me having pause on the outcome is that Georgia also has a stand your ground law.
Gotcha. Now, when you talk about Joe Biden, EJ, to me, I just think he's just as he would have been better off just not saying anything, in my book, right? I get hey, this is our system, these are our systems, and we have to trust them and so on. But you've been lobbying to Black people. When you were on the campaign trail, you called him a domestic terrorist, right? You called him a supremacist when you were on your campaign trail because you were trying to appeal to us. Now, well, we got to let it play out. And now that it played out, I'm okay with it, right? I'm okay with it. And for me, I feel like he's okay saying that, but you could still say, hey, it was wrong. You can be like, hey, listen, they got it wrong. Or, hey, I don't agree, but I understand that this is what our country looks at as a justice system, right? We have a process for it. We follow the process. Am I against it? Sure. Do I think it should have gone another way? Maybe. But, this is where we landed.
No, and I don't think that either one of you are necessarily wrong. EJ said from the beginning, as well as Steve, that you understand that this guy's the president, so he has to talk about the system in a certain way, given the job that he holds. And that's essentially what he did. But EJ, and I guess both of your points are basically like read the room, right? Now, what I will say is that Biden in his release statement, where like the written statement that was sent out, he did what Steve said, where he said, this is our system, basically, and I don't agree with this decision, but it's the jury's decision, and we need to, try to reform the system and all that, all that kind of stuff like that. But this is what we got right now. You know what I mean? But when he spoke on camera, that's when he said the thing that Steve is alluding to, where he said, I stand by the jury or something like that, And so maybe it would have just been better to release the written statement, and then when he was leaving the White House heading out to the chopper, to not even address reporters, and kind of leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate comment, but I think it was an unfortunate comment.
I think again, like, and we all voted for him here. We make no bones about that. We make no bones about support for this party, for what we want to see, what we believe in, what a lot of what we believe has been done so far. But for me, this is the accountability that is lacked, because you got to be better than that. If this was Trump, we'd be enraged. And it has nothing to do with what you've done before, has nothing to do with what you said before, because that pendulum can swing either way depending on what you're talking about and who you're talking about it with. Right now, right here, 2 American citizens were murdered in cold blood. 3rd was maimed. A felony crime was committed, and a court jurisdiction in our United States of America not only failed the people, they had a agent of the court, an agent of justice, deliberately and willfully failed the people. These are the instances where, as the union, where the state cannot say for itself, cannot do the right thing, that an agent of the federal government should be deliberate, fierce, and strong on a position. And he fucked that up. And there's no way around it. And I don't say in some unconscionable way or some underlying way that he's with it. I don't know that he did it because he's old. I don't know if he just didn't see the fucking picture. The people around him failed and he failed.
Yeah, I mean, read the room is probably the biggest piece there. Like both of you guys are saying, especially, it was just piss poor timing, man. It's piss poor timing, Joe. Maybe you should have just stayed asleep and let Kamala address those questions. Kamala as the first Indian woman president. She probably would have done a better job.
And she actually did address it. She was heading, I think she was coming from Ohio back to DC, and she spoke to reporters before getting on Air Force 2. And she said something along the lines of, fighting for justice and equity in the justice system is something that's been, her life's work. And, she disagrees with the jury's decision, but, basically, it is what it is at this point. Like, this is the system we have. I disagree with it, but, we got to do better. And then she got on the plane.
Yeah. Oh, man. So we'll see, man. We'll see where things go from here. We got the Ammar Arbery. I felt like, there's no way they were going to give us, QAnon and Rittenhouse in the same week. Like that was, this is America, man. We got to expect better.
I was watching the Arbery case the other day, and I felt like, I mean, I don't think that this is happening, but the defense in both cases, in Rittenhouse and Arbery, they kind of mirror each other a little bit. Like that defense lawyer, the heavy set one from Rittenhouse, that guy was a fucking asshole, and he's in there making faces and like, oh, come on, all that kind of shit in court. And the judge was just letting that shit go, And in the Arbery case the other day, the defense lawyer was pulling some shit like that. The judge sat there calm and had them make the jury leave the room. And then once the jury left the room, he didn't go off, but he basically told the guy, hey, like, I'm a fucking race car in the red. And I got fucking, I got a threshold and you fucking hit it. So you better chill out. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously he didn't say it like that, but that's essentially what he was saying. And he was like, I'm gonna tell you right now. He's like, I don't need no apology. I don't need you to tell me what you were trying to say. I'm letting you know you better knock that shit off. Let's take a recess. I'm gonna step away and then we'll come back and restart, and since then, that lawyer from the defense side seems to have gotten his shit together because the judge is like, you getting real close to a motherfucking contempt charge. Cause like,
right.
You know what I mean? But that's not what you were seeing happening in Rittenhouse. The lawyer's like, oh, come on. The judge is like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got a judge. He's singing to him and shit. Hey, you want me to sing? You want some tunes?
That shit is
like,
insane,
yo, I can't.
And you know what's wild about that, Steve? That like when you just said that, every time I kept hearing stuff like that, I would see it on my Twitter, and so I thought it was fake.
Exaggerating.
Yeah, it's like when I saw the thing saying the judge let him like pick out the jurors, and I'm like, nah, come on, dog.
Yeah, let me fact check this.
Yeah, because you know what I'm saying? That shit don't seem real, like.
Yeah, you gotta laugh, man. You have to laugh, And I just wonder, at what point, if you're the prosecutor, do you ask for a retrial? Like,
can't.
I mean, now you can't, but I mean, in the midst of all of that would have been my case. I would have went like this. Come on, man. Come on. What are we doing here? Like, this is out of control. Then you get to the point where he starts reading the documents and stuff, and he doesn't even, it's like he didn't even prep for it. The Monday when they came back, he's reading the documents and he just pauses completely quiet for like 5 minutes, to the point where the people that were on HLN were like, they realized and they had to do some filler talk,
Right.
They're like, oh, well, the judge is going through the documentation and blah, blah, blah. Like, you're supposed to know this. This is your job. This is your job.
One of the TV lawyers, when I was watching it, said that same thing. They were like, this judge seems to kind of be making it up as he's going. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't seem to have any command of the facts or the law. And then he's like, I think what I'll tell him is, I'll say, okay, so when you go back, well, no, maybe I don't want to say that. Maybe,
right.
Right. And it's like, yo, what the, and regardless of what you think of Rittenhouse, right? I think he's a piece of shit. Somebody else may think that, he's
a patriot.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But regardless of what you think of him, this is a guy who is on trial for his life. And the judge who's overseeing this case, seems like they just pulled some guy off the street. He was like, yo, hey, you think you can oversee this case? I was like, yeah, I mean, sure. I'm confident.
Right.
I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just holding this panhandling sign, but if you need me, me inside,
like, put me in, coach.
Right. Shit. Can I get a hot meal? It was just, it was bad, man. Like that. It was bad. And I have to wonder if, as you're watching that, right? And I don't know who they report to. I don't know who their bosses are, who governs them, but there's no way you can allow him to keep his job after watching that. Like, there's no way. And you don't say, you can't say, just specific to Rittenhouse, but it was a mockery. It made a mockery of the justice system. It made a mockery of the justice system at the highest level, right? This is a judge. This isn't like it was a lawyer in there acting up, which we had the lawyers in there acting up. It's not like we had, bailiffs in there walking through the shot or something, or coughing or sneezing or doing some fucked up shit. Like, you got the judge acting a whole ass fool, and making like how you become a meme as a judge. Right. As a judge, you became a meme on multiple occasions. It's a joke, man. That shit was a huge joke.
And to answer your question about who his boss is, judges in most states, and including in Wisconsin, are elected. So his bosses are the people of Kenosha, Wisconsin. And when he ran for re-election in 2020, he ran unopposed. He didn't even have an opponent, and this kind of goes to what I said in chat. I'll say it here is that elections matter. And when people go to vote, they need to vote the entire ballot, not just the top line.
Well, we also assume that the people of Kenosha didn't want him. So they.
No, you're right, but I get where you're going. But what I'm saying is that when you look at an election, when you look at election results, you see the top line, whether it's for president, governor, whatever the top race is in your state. And like, let's say in Florida, for example, in Florida, the last election, 2020, we had like 10 million people vote, right? So on the presidential ballot, you see like 10 million votes, split, however they're split for Biden, Trump. Then you get down to the next race, which, was a Senate seat. And then that race only has like, 8.5 million votes. And then the attorney general race only had 4 million votes. And then the governor, you see what I'm saying? And every time you go down, there's an undervote because you have people who only show up and they vote for the top spot, and that's it. And then when they watch the news and they say, man, how the fuck did this corrupt ass, like here in Orlando, our property appraiser, this guy was facing charges last year, right? He lost his election in 2020, right? But this guy was facing indictment for corruption, misusing government funds and taking kickbacks and all kind of shit like that, right? And then people watch the news and say, how the fuck this guy got elected? You is how he got elected, because you showed up and you voted for president and we're home. You know what I mean? And so now in a county that has 800,000 voters, this guy won an election, 55-45, and it was only 200,000 votes cast.
Yeah. What else is going on, man? What else? What did we miss this week? There was no.
While we're here,
not being a thought, was she?
Well, I was gonna say while we're here, Steve, if you like, I can get into the political moment real quick, and then kind of pivot off that.
Give us an update. We had our first Indian and woman president.
Yeah. So this week, on a Friday, Biden had his annual physical, and as part of his physical, he received a colonoscopy as well as an endoscopy, and they have to give you anesthesia for that. And so he had to transfer the powers of the president to the vice president, which this is something that happens. It happened during the George W. Bush presidency twice with Dick Cheney. And so it's nothing, crazy here. So history was made. We had the first woman acting president. She acted as president while Biden was under sedation for about 85 minutes, according to the White House. So during those 85 minutes, she essentially had the full power of the presidency. And so I think Kamala, her office, as well as the White House, I think they did a really piss poor job of actually commemorating that. And I think they probably didn't want to really acknowledge it in a way, because you already got people saying, oh, Biden's not really president, he's fucking senile, and so I think that's probably why they didn't really acknowledge it. But that was history. Also, as part of his physical, some news came out of that, which for me, it kind of answers some questions that I've personally had. They talked about Biden's gait, so like the way that he walks. He, like, you see him walk, he looks really stiff. And what was crazy for me was that I started noticing the stiffness in how he walks shortly after, when he fell down the stairs going up Air Force One. And so I thought maybe he hurt himself and didn't heal properly or something like that. But they said that he's getting some arthritis in his back, and that's why he looks stiff when he walks, and that's why his gait looks like that when he's walking. But other than that, they said he's fit for duty. He takes a statin for his cholesterol. The thing about his gait, and we didn't got the results for the colonoscopy, but I assume that it's probably clear if we haven't heard anything yet. What was fascinating about that too is when you read over the report that the doctor put out, it read like almost like a doctor wrote it, where it said like, oh, he weighs this much, his cholesterol is looking good. They talked about, when Biden talks, you hear him clear his throat a lot. They said they see some evidence of reflux, and that's what that's from. But it didn't say like he's the fittest president to ever serve, as president, and all this, he could live to be 200 and all that kind of bullshit. We heard it over the last 4 years, you know. So that happened. On Friday, the House passed their version of Biden's Build Back Better plan. It now goes to the Senate. The plan included things like universal child care, universal pre-K for 3 and 4 years old, 3 and 4 year olds. It had money in there for housing for poor people. It expands Obamacare, and one of the things that I thought is a really huge part of it is that it has some prescription drug. It has some prescription drug price controls where it's going to cap the cost of insulin at $35.
And it's paid for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this proposal is paid for, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and you niggas that don't like to go to work, they put some shit in there to give you some paid leave when you have a baby. So
yeah, they had a paid. The reason I didn't mention the paid leave is that the paid leave is more of a messaging thing because that's not going to be in the final bill once it goes.
Yeah, they're gonna pull that
because Joe Manchin exists, right? And he's already said he's not for that, so that's going to get pulled out. So that's more of a 2022 messaging thing. Hey, we passed this thing. We're fighting for this, you know, but it's not going to be in the final bill.
We need something as far as a Joe Manchin shirt. Say get rid of him or something. We need to develop that.
Right. I mean, you don't have the Democrats don't have the majority in the Senate without Joe Manchin, but at the same time, you know, I get it. You know, they always say you got to represent your state, right? And he's from a more conservative state, and so I get it that, you know, there are certain things that he can't be for, right? He supports gun rights more than most Democrats do, you know, but it seems like everything that he's for, it favors the rich, right? And West Virginia is the second poorest state in the country behind Mississippi. Okay, yeah, your people in West Virginia may not be for certain parts of this bill, but you can't tell me that they don't need help with childcare. They're fucking poor,
right?
You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me, and I don't mean it that way, like to shit on them, but I'm saying, like,
you should. Poor people, you ever been there? You ever been there outside of Morgantown? It ain't nothing there.
Yeah, like poor people need help, right? And so, you know, you can't say, well, the people in my state, they don't like government handouts. And it's like, well, they don't have any money to do anything. And so why the fuck wouldn't they take a helping hand? Like, you know, like, come on, dog. So yeah. So that happened. And the last political thing I'll bring up here is with the census that came out, you know, we're doing redistricting across the country in various states. And the Republicans are gerrymandering the hell out of these states where,
shocker,
it may not be possible for a Democrat to ever win a state again. You know, as an example, in the state of Georgia, right? This is a state that Biden won in 2020, right? He won it with 49.5% of the vote, right? They passed a gerrymandered congressional map that gives Republicans 64% of the seats in a state that Biden won with 49.5% of the vote, and 100% of the population gains in Georgia were in minority communities, but they've reduced the representation of those communities in the proposed congressional map, right? And in Ohio, it's even worse. In Ohio, you have a state that Trump won. He won it with 53% of the vote. In Ohio, they have put out a map that will give Republicans anywhere between 80 to 87% of the seats of the congressional seats. Mm-hmm. And so it goes to something that we've talked about on this podcast and in our chat offline, where I talk about how Republicans understand that their ideas aren't popular. They aren't popular. And they continue to rig the system to allow them to continue to rule this country from their minority status. They're basically trying to make us South Africa.
Yeah.
So Joe Manchin is a Democrat in title only, is what I'm getting from you, Vari.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Manchin, he, you know, West Virginia is a southern state, right? And so, you know, he's a Democrat. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's part of it's
above
below
the
Mason.
I would say it's above the Mason.
It's above the Mason Dixon, but the reason it's considered the South is because West Virginia was a part of Virginia. West Virginia basically was a county in Virginia, and then after Virginia stopped being a slave state, that county seceded from Virginia itself and then became West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean a lot of these states. I mean, shit, Delaware had it not been so far north would have been a Confederate state,
right?
Same as Maryland.
So, but for Manchin, I think he looks at it like, oh well, we're a Southern state, and Democrats ran the South for a time, and he's kind of like that last. Well, not even the last, because Raphael Warnock and Ossoff are in Georgia now. But until then, Manchin was the only Southern Democratic senator. But yeah, he's not going to be a senator after 2024. He's doing this shit thinking, oh well, I'll just be Republican light, and that'll be enough to get me through. But if you get offered a Diet Coke or Coke, most people gonna take the real thing.
Yeah. Unless you're trying to lose weight.
All right. Yo, real quick, before we go into sports, because I know it's getting that time. Pete, what's his name? Pete Davidson? Pete
Davidson.
Pete Davidson. Although this is foul, and Kim, you're being dirty, adultering wench. But hey, I can dig it. Pete Davidson is one of the consummate stickmen of our nation, of our generation. He's slowly climbing the ranks. And if you don't know what a stickman is, it's a guy who Michael Rappaport, he's making this more famous, but if you've grown up in New York at any point in time, you know what this is. It's a gentleman who gets around and has a pretty good roster of good-looking, beautiful women. He's not necessarily a piece of garbage, but he just does his business. Some of the best ones out there. Of our time, Billy D. Williams. Well, not of our time, but of history, Billy D. Williams. Derek Jeter. Can't think of anyone else at the top of my head. But Pete Davidson, you, sir, are racking up numbers. Knocking down Kim Kardashian. West.
I gotta disagree a little bit, EJ, here, because like you talk about Billy D. Williams, right? And this guy was, on TV a lot. He's famous as shit, got a shit ton of money. He's a handsome guy, right?
Who, Billy D?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You talk about Derek Jeter. This guy's he's the captain, plays for the Yankees. He's rich as shit. You know what I mean? He's a handsome guy. Mm-hmm. We talk about Pete Davis. The guy don't got that much money. Like I looked him up. They say his net worth is like $3 million. I mean, it's a shit ton more than I got, but I mean, they ain't that much money. The guy ain't much to look at, and he's punching way above his weight. I mean, we're talking about Kim K. Before that, Ariana Grande, and who knows?
But
who knows what else is on the roster?
That is part of, and that's what's making him even more. Because you're right, Derek Jeter was athletic. He's a Yankee. His roster, I mean, is just impeccable.
Yeah. Like him and Leo are like fucking, you know what I
mean? you reminded me.
Oh, Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Brad Pitt. Jesus Christ.
Brad Pitt. Listen, man, low key, French Montana, Evelyn Lozada, Rosa Acosta. He had pretty much all the bad, all those baddies. He had himself a Kardashian as well. I mean, of course, it was the run of litter. But he had one. He had a Kardashian as well. So Alexis Sky, like he, French had a little something there too.
I like it. I think you're right though, man. Pete Davidson, he's definitely
gotta make a list. But Pete is probably. Pete got the longest arms, right? When you talk about your arms are too short to box with God, he too short to be boxing with goddesses, and he's getting them, man. It just goes to show, man, you make them laugh, and it makes them trickle just a little.
Yo, you exactly right, yo. Like I was watching, or not watching, I was listening to an investment thing, and they were talking about I can't even remember like the way the dude related it, but he was basically he was using an analogy to say, the looks can get you the number, your personality can get you the cheeks. You know what I mean? and you know, for Pete, it seems to be that he must have a great personality. I don't know what it is, you know, but my guy is punching above his weight, dog.
Now he's a tripod.
Exactly.
You know, when that gets around the industry, you know, these heathens just want to test the water.
That was the one thing I had to think about. I was like, you know, dude, they gotta be blessed somewhere, right?
Yeah. Isn't he half black?
No. No, he's very white. He's from Staten Island. He's white as they can be.
Yeah, but he, you know, for somebody who already has mental health issues, you know, I think VP, you kind of you alluded to it with the passing of his father on 9/11. Like, he sure chooses some that, like, Ariana Grande, look what she did to Mac Miller, like, sent him into a drug-induced death. Broke Pete Davidson's heart, had him posting suicidal shit on Twitter. Now Pete Davidson decided he's gonna move on to Kim. Look what she did to Kanye and Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush was in the league and then was out the league. Chris Humphries in the league, then out the league. Like, Kim Kardashian might not be the one for you, Pete. This might be your last hurrah. Unfortunately. She is, if anyone, she is the one. Hey, what's up with Scottie Pippen, man? What's up with Scottie Pippen?
Sounds like a bitter ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Do you think Michael Jordan smashed Larsa? Is it possible that might have happened?
You know, I think you know, Scottie probably, well, not that he feels, because I mean it is this way, you know, but the legend of Scottie Pippen has diminished over the years. And what I mean by that is that, you know, everybody understands, okay, Jordan's the GOAT, you know, he's awesome, all that kind of shit like that, right? But everything that he got, Scottie was there. You know what I mean? And it's not like Scottie just played like some supporting cast member role. Like, this guy is a Hall of Fame, you know, top 50 all time, you know, et cetera, right? But as time has gone on, as we move further away from the 90s, the legend of Michael Jordan grows more, and Scottie finds himself more in the shadow of being just, you know, a lot of people probably don't know his name unless you are from a certain era, right? And the people who are not from that era probably think of him as being a sidekick, not being a Batman and Robin. They look at him as being like, you know, like Jordan's Batman, and Scottie's like, you know, Commissioner Gordon. You know what I'm saying?
No, he was at least Alfred. Like, he was at least Alfred.
Listen, Scottie, it's Scottie's fault, man. He should have.
And so I think he feels some kind of way about, but I think he feels some kind of way about that, about
no question
where he is in history, and not to mention, you know, something that we learned, or I mean, you guys may have known this already, but I learned it in The Last Dance, the financial situation where the Bulls, you know, weren't taking care of him money wise, you know, and so you have the thing where my legend is in the shitter, and I don't got the bag the way I should have, you know, so.
He should have left. He should have left Chicago, and he should have made his mark somewhere else, and we might not have this conversation.
I think by the time he left, it was too late. Like the Portland run and so on, like, you know, it was too late. He was already in the shadows of Jordan, and rightfully so. I mean, you talk about, you know, in 90% of basketball fans' minds, it's the GOAT, right? You got 10%, you know, that are probably going to break up, you know, that are from the 60s, that they might still have Dr. J and those guys up there. Then you have a percentage that are, you know, LeBron stands that can't see reality, and then you got the Kobe fans, right? So to me, I think that's, you know, you got 90% of people say that this guy is the GOAT. So rightfully so. I'm sorry, Scottie. I'm sorry you don't like being in the shadows, but I don't think this is what's gonna do it for you, right?
No, you're right, Steve. I don't think this is what's going to do it for you. But I think to what you just said, I think Scottie may be thinking, I shouldn't be in the shadow. I'm not saying like people should say, you know, I'll put it this way, like to use a football coupling as an example, right? Remember when people talked all that shit about how Jeff Garcia was great and T.O. shouldn't be shitting on him and da.
No.
And then no, I'm not putting them on the level of Jordan, but I'm saying
no, whoever said that was an idiot.
Yeah, right. And then T.O. leaves and Jeff Garcia is just a fucking scumbag. Not scumbag. He's trash. You know what I mean? And so I think like Scotty may feel like people are treating him like Jeff Garcia in this situation where he's just a shitty player, you know, and he's like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was, you know, great defense, you know, fucking all-time top 50, you know, I was out there doing numbers.
You know what Scottie Pippen is? He's Matt Castle. Tom Brady with a great coach, winning guy, gets hurt. Matt Castle comes in, looks good with that same coach in that same system, goes on to Kansas City. Oh, he might be good. Trash. Goes on to Seattle. Oh, he might be trash. Scottie Pippen, same way, right?
He was in Matt Castle.
Yes, he is Matt Castle. He slotted in, right? He slotted into when Jordan retired. So that's what people say. Well, he retired and they still made the playoffs, right? But you were slotted. You were slotted in with a coach. You were slotted in with a system. You were slotted in pretty much with the same team, right? But then once you left, you didn't look like anything, right? So I mean, to me, that's what I, you know, that's the comparison I make for him is to Matt Castle.
He's the bitter ex-girlfriend at this point, and I think you're both right. He didn't get the bag, and he might be Matt Castle, and he's the bitter ex-girlfriend. The Last Dance had you. Who would think that after 30 years plus, almost 35 years, that Michael Jordan's legend would not only still be this fierce, but then grow. And then you think when we just thought we knew everything about him, boom, Last Dance hit you. Now you just lasted 25 more years. That's all it is.
Right. You just added time to that. And not only that, in the Last Dance, you were also hurt in that because of the last shot thing where Tony Kukoc, you know, that whole Tony Kukoc thing.
And also with the Last Dance, right? I told you guys when I watched it, I felt like I got catfished, right? Not that I didn't. I loved it as a documentary, but the Last Dance was sold like it was a documentary on the Bulls last season, and it wasn't. It was a Michael Jordan fucking documentary. You know what I'm saying?
You just had to see.
You thought of that,
right? You had to see how they got to that last season, right? So that's where we had to tell you about Jordan.
So
it's only a Jordan documentary if you talk about, you know, his childhood, which we didn't hear much about. We heard some, but not much.
Pippen probably watching that shit thinking like, oh, I did all these interviews. I can't wait till they put this thing out. And then he watches it thinking like, let's see our Last Dance. And it's like, wait a minute. Like,
yeah.
That too.
Listen, when you lose, when you're an athlete, right? A highly regarded athlete like Scottie Pippen, and then you lose your wife to the streets and you got rappers running through, it might mentally impact you. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Scottie Pippen wants attention. He wants to get back in, you know, he wants the attention. And he thinks this is the way to do it. So he writes a book. I'll do anything for a book. You want me to say Michael Jordan was garbage and I'm better than him? Sold. You want me to say that LeBron is far better than him? Absolutely. You want me to say the rest of our teammates hated him? Sure, will do. Right? Because he wants to sell his book, you know.
I mean, but that doesn't mean that stuff isn't true. And I'm not saying like the LeBron stuff, like we don't have to debate that. I'm talking about the like with him saying like the team hated him and stuff. I mean, you watch The Last Dance and you see him talking to like Ron Harper, like, what you doing, ho? You know, da. And it's like, damn, duh, you know, and you know, they throughout history, whenever you hear about great people, whether it's in sports, business, you name it, people talk about these people having a certain temperament, you know, like somebody who's considered, you know, one of the greatest, you know, CEOs of all time, Steve Jobs. They say behind the scenes, like this guy was a horrible person to work for, you know. In public, it's like, yo, Steve Jobs, Apple CEO, like this guy changed the world, you know, da. But people say, yo, if you worked at Apple, like, I mean, there were days, you know, you pull up in the office and you don't want to get out the car because you got to go in there with this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean that kind of stuff isn't true.
That's because I mean, that's how people that want success, that are successful, generally, a lot of them are, right? Kobe, same thing, right? They would go into practice and Kobe be like, you niggas can't guard me. You know what I'm saying? Right?
You niggas don't even shoot.
Yeah, don't shoot. There's no halfway in practice. Like, get it. Listen, come in here and play this game. Jordan was there.
I'm not saying that like it was
no,
wrong.
we know we agree.
Yeah,
we agree with
you. They just got to grow up, man. Listen, you can be as mad as you want, but you got 6 rings or 3 rings or 2 rings or however many you were there for.
He should have left. He should have just left.
Yeah.
He should have left earlier. Yeah, that was stupid on his part.
Yeah, he's a softie. All right, so let's get into some NFL picks, man. Or actually, before we do NFL, what you guys been watching?
I'll go real quick because I know EJ usually watches a lot of stuff. I haven't been watching much of anything. I did start. I started a Steve recommendation, the show Made. I actually started it last night. I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes.
Damn.
I like it. I don't think it's like a great show, but I like it overall.
It's not great.
I will also say real quick, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this on your streaming platforms or anything.
The same thing I said. Oh no, go ahead.
Well, no, not about the show. Is that if you guys, I don't know if you've noticed this before, you may start paying attention to it now that I'm saying it, is that on those streaming platforms, so like Netflix as an example, the algorithm tracks like, what you're watching, what you're clicking on, that kind of thing like that, right? And the thumbnail that you see is different depending on who the algorithm think is watching, right? And so I noticed for the show Made, whenever I'm on, the thumbnail always shows me the black chick, like the rich lady who hired her or whatever, And so I always thought that was the main character, but then I'm like, wait, when Steve recommended the show, he said it was with a white chick, but it's this black, like, who's this black woman, And now that I'm watching the show, I'm like, this woman is like a supporting actor. She's only in the show like maybe a total of 6 minutes so far from what I've seen so far. Like, why the fuck is she on the thumbnail? But I think it's because the show sees, he's watching, so we gonna put the black chick on there.
You'll see some more. You'll see some more of her. But I'm gonna let you finish the rest of your bingeables. But as you're watching that show, okay. Do you understand what I was saying when I said that people only gravitate to it when you put you put it into someone who's fair skinned, right? When the story goes on, it just seems like the life she's living is every day. Like, we hear that every day in our culture, right? In our society. There's nothing abnormal about you being a single mother and struggling and having to take difficult jobs, right? We see that all the time. That's not like an anomaly, but for other people watching it, the Caucasoids, they might be watching it and be like, oh my God, how could one live like that?
Right.
So when I watched it, that just stuck out to me.
No, you're absolutely right. I definitely did notice that. And it's like, what was kind of wild about it was that even before, like when the show starts, you see the situation she comes from and they do these little flashbacks and stuff. Her situation wasn't that great. And so I was really surprised that she had no clue like how to navigate the social safety net system to even get anything to begin with. You know what I mean? Because even that seemed like a struggle for her. And I'm like, you weren't living in a great situation. How did you not know that these programs that could help you exist?
It's like you said last time, even what Chris Rock said, like you said last week, Chris Rock said even what is it, the one-legged guy,
one-legged busboy
wouldn't switch places because
I'm rich.
Even though you poor and you messed up and you white, you still, may not hit that point in some instances, and still don't know. But I haven't been watching anything new. Only thing new I can recall watching was the new Bond flick, and it was trash. I haven't liked this whole series other than Skyfall. I think they completely missed the mark. The Roger Craig movies had potential. I think they could just never come up with a good villain. Like
Daniel Craig.
Roger Craig is the football player. Daniel Craig. It's like the only movie I felt like he had a worthy villain was Skyfall, and even in that, the dude was weird and kind of whack. But I was tired of Daniel Craig having these villains with these small, smart guys, and there's no real climactic fighting about it. It's just, so I think that's where they missed the ball. But I want to see what happens next. But that's the only thing I could think of that I watched.
Skyfall was my favorite out of his Bonds, but I also never really watched the Bonds like that. So
I never even saw Skyfall. The last one I saw was the one after Casino Royale, unless that's Skyfall. I don't know.
I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
I think
then that's
those
the
are the
last
two.
one I saw.
Those are the two that I've seen was Casino Royale, and I never seen any other one before them.
Yeah, you guys are making me feel good though, because I was determined to watch King Richard last night because I knew we were going to talk about it. The Venus and Serena joint with Will Smith is streaming on HBO. Yeah, and had some stomach issues, couldn't get it. So I just knew you guys were like, oh, I saw it, and I'm gonna be sitting here like,
no, I didn't get it. I didn't get a chance.
I've heard good stuff about it though.
It's funny that you say that because I saw it pop up and I was gonna watch it before I went to work yesterday, but I didn't. But going back to it, right? And we'll watch it and we'll see whether it's good or not. But just think of the trailer, right? And we talked about the whole colorism thing. Do you guys still feel the same way? Because I remember I was the one that was saying Will Smith is going to sell this movie. No one's going to want to see a story about Venus and Serena's father, especially if it's a dark-skinned person that you may not be familiar with, or even, maybe I think what you guys were saying is maybe you put like a Bozeman or something like that in there. It's a little bit different, but I think you got people that are going to gravitate to the story or to the movie just for Will Smith. There's going to be people that watch it without even knowing what it's about, just because they see Will Smith's name and face on the cover.
No, I agree with that. And I don't necessarily have a problem with Will Smith playing. I mean, he's not as dark as their dad, and I wouldn't want to see them put makeup on him to make him darker either.
Imagine Will Smith in blackface after all the Jada stuff.
Certain actors do sell movies. Like, if they brought in like Denzel as an example, does this movie get as much traction as it does, with the Will Smith? Probably not. But so I don't have a problem with it, but I think you should try to be close.
That was Steve's overall point, is going to put asses in the seats, and everybody I see talking about it is talking about his performance more than the story so far. I'm gonna be honest though, I wanted to watch it with the girls, but I got rid of HBO Max, so I was waiting for it to come on my other thing here, and it hasn't come up yet. But at the same time, I'm gonna be honest, there are just sometimes where you want to have those moments. If not watching it with the girls, I wouldn't watch it. I'm not in a rush to really watch it. Like, I know what happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
spoiler.
I don't, you know what I mean? I don't feel like, I feel like it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be great to watch, and I think the children should watch it. But I'm like, okay, I mean, you guys turned out to be okay. Salute that man. I'm good. So
yeah, I mean, you're right.
I definitely want to watch it. I'm just not in the rush to watch it, basically.
No, you're absolutely right, EJ. And for what drove me to want to watch it last night, it's not like it was one of those things like, oh, it came out, I gotta watch it. It's only because we do this podcast and we talk about things that we watch, and so it just came out, and that was the reason I was looking to watch it right away, was so that way it can be a topic on the show. But it's not something I probably would have. It's not like it was like Avengers or something where it's like, yo, I gotta see it opening weekend. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, man, like, I definitely agree what you said, with shout out to him on, not raising one, but two amazing athletes in a sport that is not, filled with black people. A lot of times you see like a token black person in hockey or NASCAR or something, and they don't do well, but they not only joined that sport, but dominated it for more than for almost 2 decades. Serena by herself, Venus had some health issues and couldn't dominate as long. Won gold medals and all these tournaments and shit. This week it came out, Serena was on the cover of some investment magazine, and I saw this, just I'm into investing and stuff, where she actually has a fund that she runs, where she invests in startups and stuff like that. And her fund has something like, I think the number was like I think it was like a little bit over $10 billion out there. I mean, she don't got $10 billion, so some of it's borrowed money and stuff like that. But I'm like, shit, you know what I mean? Like, this day and age, like kind of to tie it back to Scotty, right? In this day and age, if you're a athlete, and especially an athlete that's like an A-list athlete where you're really getting the bag, if you're broke after your career's over, like you're fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel sorry for you. And unless there was like something with like drugs or something like that, you know what I mean? I don't feel sorry for, because I mean it's so much money out there, and it's so much money out there besides athletes. You know, I mean, we talked about, I don't know, we talked about in the pod, but I know we talked in chat about Kobe having an investment in that company that's like a rival to Gatorade. They just got bought by Coke. You know, Coke buys them for $8 billion, and Kobe's slice of that is going to be like $400 million, you know, or his estate, or Vanessa or whatever, you know. Over his career, he only made like $200 million. And then this one investment is more than his playing career, you know. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Indeed. I do want to say I predict the Matrix 4 is going to be trash.
Don't say that. But I think you're
right. We'll see.
But I will be seeing it.
You guys, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. But you guys, you guys don't know how to disengage from story and enjoy visuals like some of us who are elitists. I haven't been watching anything, just The Wire. When I get into my old shit. I went through The Sopranos, now I'm going through The Wire. I'm not sure what the next is going to be, but I look forward to. Yeah, I probably will go to Oz. All right, so let's get into some quick picks here. On the NFL front. We will run through these quickly and efficiently. The Saints are going into Philly to see the Eagles.
Eagles.
Yeah. Is Taysom playing? Did we establish that?
No,
we mentioned it.
Taysom Mill's not playing.
I think Eagles. Simeon is.
Eagles.
Philly. I'm going with New Orleans. Fuck the Eagles.
Shocker.
The Dolphins are going into New Jersey to play the Jets. EJ's Jets and Vari's Dolphins.
Give me the Dolphins.
Joe Flacco starting. EJ's boy.
Flacco 6-1 career versus Dolphins, but I'll take the Dolphins.
Same.
Yeah, I got Miami as well. Washington football team, Riverboat Ron going back to Carolina, where they said Cam is going to be starting.
I'll take Carolina.
Carolina, no Predator, no Chase Young.
Yeah, so, man, I wish that brother a speedy recovery, man. That sucks.
Absolutely.
You guys are taking Carolina. I'm going to go Washington. I think Washington pulls this one out, man. Taylor Heineke, I think he's got it in him. Pause. Colts going into Buffalo. Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz, 5-5 going into Buffalo, 6-3.
I'm going with Indy.
I'll take Buffalo.
I'm with Buffalo on that one as well.
Jonathan Taylor's gonna have a 120-yard game.
I hope so.
2 touchdowns.
I hope so, because I got him. All right, the Detroit Lions are not starting Jared Goff today. He's hurt. And they are going into Cleveland. So 0-8-1 versus 5-5.
I'll take Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Nick Chubb returns today.
Yeah, I'm on Cleveland as well. The 49ers are going into Jacksonville.
Niners.
Across the board. All right, Houston Texans, divisional.
Whoever the other team is.
Against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Tennessee. All right.
Told
Tennessee
you.
for me as well. All right. There's another divisional. Green Bay Packers playing against the Minnesota Vikings. No Aaron Jones today. No, Adam Lazard.
It's in Minnesota.
Or Alan Lazard. It's in Minnesota.
I take Green Bay.
Give me Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Speaking of something else in Minnesota, but I've been Instagram.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and stick. I'm gonna go Green Bay. I'm gonna go to Green Bay on that. The Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is not active today.
What?
Wow.
And Marquise Brown is not playing today. So
what?
You got the Ravens going into Chicago. Well, Lamar, he has the immune system of that. No, that's insensitive. He has
he got COVID again.
I don't think he has COVID. They said this is an illness that is not COVID, but he's sick.
Oh my goodness, yo!
I don't even want to know what you were gonna say. It's in Chicago. Who's in
Chicago?
Who's their backup?
Now I have no clue who's starting for them.
Steve probably was going to say he has an immune system of somebody from the 1900s or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's exactly where I was going.
Quite sure not, but do we go with the Bears here? I'm gonna go with the Bears, and Fields getting his first win.
Lamar. Yeah, I'm going Bears, man. Did that just break?
You know what?
Yeah, I got Chicago, but it's not his first win.
You know what? Who is You know what? I don't know who their backup quarterback is. Who's the Ravens' backup quarterback?
Isn't it that black kid? The one that's real skinny?
Okay. That black kid that's real skinny.
Oh, wait. No, isn't the Ravens' backup RG3?
No, he's retired.
Mm-hmm. Or that was last year.
I'm looking right now. Give me 1 second.
I think it's McSorley.
Okay, well, either way, I'm going Chicago.
McSorley.
And there's also no Marquise Brown, and no running backs ever. No Latavius Murray. It's just it's a shit show in Baltimore.
Latavius might be coming back though.
No, he's out.
Damn, why I can't get on anything?
All right, you guys look up the quarterback. I'll go to the next game.
The backup is Tyler Huntley.
I'm gonna take the Ravens. I'm gonna take the Ravens.
Relax.
Tyler Huntley, the 23-year-old second-year undrafted free agent.
He's gonna look 16. Better
who has 16 career regular season passes.
He's gonna look better than Lamar, and it's gonna create some controversy.
All right, bold prediction. The Cincinnati Bengals 5-4 going into Las Vegas.
Real quick, Steve. And just in case something happens to Huntley, the next guy up is a guy named Trace McSorley.
I'm surprised they didn't start McSorley. I thought they were pretty happy about him. They were excited about that kid.
Me too.
All right,
the guy name.
Yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals 5-4 going into Las Vegas to play the Raiders, also 5-4.
Raiders.
Yeah, I'll take Vegas.
Wow. I'm going with the Bengals on that one. Although, yeah. Cardinals have nobody. They have no Chase Edmonds. They have no DeAndre Hopkins, and they have no what's the quarterback's name? Kyler Murray. Yet they're still 8-2. And they're going into Seattle with a Russell Wilson, who looked like hot shit last week.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna take I'm taking the Seahawks.
I just hope James Conner has a terrible day.
And I know that fucking Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are doing this shit personally to me. They see him in a spot to make a run in the fantasy league, and they're trying to fuck me over.
Oh, that's what it is.
Definitely, I know it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what they were thinking. That's exactly what Kyle was saying. All right, so game of the week, which everyone thinks is going to be a shootout, but I don't think it's going to be a shootout. The Cowboys going into Kansas City, 7-2 Cowboys. Kansas City 6-4.
Kansas City.
Kansas City going into Dallas?
No, Dallas going into KC.
Dallas going into KC.
I'm gonna take Dallas and Zeke.
No Amari.
Amari Cooper.
Zeke runs for 80 yards, and Pollard runs for 60 and a touchdown.
Yo, give me KC, and I'm also gonna tell you that the final score will be 31-10.
Damn. Steve, what say you?
He's drunk. I'm going with the Cowboys, of course.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game than people think. I'm going to say it's going to be 21-17 in favor of the Cowboys via clock management.
i.e. running the ball.
Okay.
All right. The Steelers going into
on Tuesday.
The Chargers, I'm sorry. The Los Angeles Chargers.
Give me the Chargers.
That's Steve.
Yeah.
Who's playing? He said Steelers Chargers.
Yeah.
Give me the Chargers. Isn't Ben out?
No, Ben's back this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still take Chargers.
He's vaccinated. Who'd you take, EJ?
Who knows these days? Shit.
Chargers.
You know what I mean? We got the Antonio Brown situation happening. Immunized versus vaccinated in Green Bay. So shit.
I'm taking Pittsburgh on this one. And then Monday Night Football, we have the New York Giants, 3-6, coming into Tampa Bay, 6-3. Tom Brady coming off of, did they say this is the first time in his career he's lost back-to-back games? Is that what they said?
No way.
I think someone said that, but I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong.
No fucking way. This guy's been playing for 21 years. He's never lost back-to-back games. No way.
Right. He's not Jordan.
Give me Tampa, Tom.
I'm on Tampa Bay also, man. But Saquon Barkley is back. Guess who's back? Never mind. All right. And then Thursday, we'll do Thursday in chat because there's a bunch of games Thursday because of Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We had a whole segment on it.
Yeah, I think it's Detroit, Chicago, Cowboys, Raiders, and then I forget what the nightcap is. I think it's Pittsburgh and somebody. So, but all right. So those picks are in the game, are in the book rather. Sorry about that. And yeah, man. Yeah. So Thanksgiving is coming. Stay safe, stay healthy, eat a lot.
Eat a lot of.
Some of us will be at family houses, EJ. Sorry. Not all of us gonna be out. Not all of us gonna be out tricking on Thanksgiving.
It'll be somebody's family's house.
Listen, don't take no homeless bitches home.
Oh God.
Hey, gotta do my part, man.
Right. You want a plate? All right, I'm all done, man. I'm all set. I'm gonna hand this over to the VP, unless there's anything pressing that either of you gentlemen think that we might have left off this week.
No.
All right, it's all up to you now, VP.
Hey everyone, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the CastWorthy podcast. For those who joined live, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday to listen to us live, kind of give our thoughts on what's happening out there in the country. For those who will listen once this episode is posted, we appreciate you taking the time as well. You can find this podcast on all podcasting platforms. Just search CastWorthy. You can also check us out on any of our social media. Also at CastWorthy. On Instagram is at CastWorthy_podcast. Like Steve said a moment ago, Thanksgiving, definitely take some time, recharge your batteries, eat some food, spend time with your family, be safe. COVID is still a thing, so wear a mask if you need to. Get vaccinated, get your booster. This week the FDA approved both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine for everybody 18 and up. So if you're already vaccinated, it's time, get your booster, but regardless, I hope that you can enjoy the week and, refuel and spend time with the loved ones, catch up, whatever the case. And we will see you on the next episode of the podcast. We love you and we appreciate your time and support. And we're out. Peace.